Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending again on what time you're looking at this podcast. This is Race, Culture, and the Church. Race, Culture, and the Church. And as I continue to say, I invite you all to look back at all of the prior podcasts that we've done. We're looking for that sweet spot of conversation, that intersection of race and culture in this time, this country that we're fortunate to live in, we don't apologize. As a matter of fact, we lean into who we are as Christians, followers of Jesus Christ. But we realize that we live at a time. 2022 is we thought that 2020 was turbulent or 2021 was turbulent. Well, welcome to 2022. I am pleased, I am honored, extremely honored to have with us again, Gary May, the seventh. I like that. There's something magical about the number 7 too, biblically. The 7th Chancellor at UC Davis University. Thank you so much for being with us today again, Chancellor.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Pastor Meeks, and thanks for inviting me again.
And again, just as a reminder, Mark.
Gotcha.
Mama called me Mark, and
right.
so we'll continue to go with that.
All right.
Last time we spent quite a bit of time just getting to know the Chancellor in St. Louis and the trek that you had to Georgia Tech, to UC Berkeley. And I invite others to look at that. If this is the first time you're engaging with us, go back and watch that podcast before you go forward with this podcast. But that said, I was looking at the UC Davis site. Again, like I said last time, I won't say it was exhaustive research, but I did a little research. And there are some things, either it's just good print or there's a there, as they say, about core values. Mm-hmm. And it speaks on community, exploration, integrity, and growth. We nurture community, under community, and that's where I want to go with this. It says in part, we nurture connections and build community by practicing, this thing cut off, with one another and honoring diverse ideas, beliefs, and lived experiences. What does that mean? What?
You know, it's interesting. We have something called our principles of community, which is a set of aspirational goals around building community, around diversity, around acceptance and tolerance of others' points of view. And it kind of stemmed from a pretty turbulent time in the history of the university. I wasn't here then, but there was quite a bit of activism, quite a bit of protest and unrest, and the community came together around this document, which we call the Principles of Community, and we have it hanging everywhere. You can see it posted everywhere. It basically encapsulates our desire to, basically treat each other right. You could say it's captures our interpretation of basic spiritual principles of treating each other the way you want to be treated.
It's interesting that you use the word spiritual. I'm sure that wasn't a casual use of the word. No. Given that, I was sharing with someone this past week. They were asking, what does City Church believe in? And I said, sometimes you go into places of worship and you see, a little framed document, Covenant of Faith. And there's some words on there. And dare I say, most people don't read it or even necessarily adhere to it. Mm-hmm. So I guess I want to ask then, as I lean into what you said, it's printed everywhere. Mm-hmm. You've been the 7th Chancellor for how many months now?
This is my 5th year as Chancellor.
5th year? Okay, yeah. Well, mm-hmm. you should get no grace then.
I'm about to get a 5-year review, in fact. So.
This is your 5th year. There is an aroma that Gary May has had to have brought to the university. So is it just words framed and hanging around? To what degree does this covenant?
I try to live it, Mark. I mean, I think what I think I've brought to the university is a openness and transparency and accessibility to the leadership. There was a degree of mistrust and dysfunction when I got here, and that's not the way that's not the kind of environment I like to operate within. So both myself and I've encouraged the leadership team to be very engaging and sharing our time and reaching out to our students, faculty, and staff at Davis, but also the broader community, including the community in which we live, our alumni, the business community, every constituency that we touch. We try to be accessible and open and approachable, and in the mode of sharing ideas, sharing resources, sharing philosophies, all those sorts of things.
Yeah, it's unfair, but I'll ask anyway. So I picked 10 students out at the quad at UC Davis, and I was like, does this feel like community to you? Of the 10, all 10 say it, 8 would say it, 5 would say it?
I'll be modest and hopefully 7 will say it, but
Okay.
I guess maybe more. It depends on how you frame the question. I do think that there's a more sense, certainly after the pandemic, there's a yearning for community. So if you go today, the students are happy to be back in person. They're still wearing their masks and all that sort of thing, but they are pleased to be around each other, and you can kind of sense it. It's palpable.
One of the other tenets that you have, integrity. We hold ourselves and each other accountable with our actions. What does that look like?
That means we do business in a way that engenders trust. We follow the rules and the policies that are set forth by the university and the university system, certainly the laws of the state and the nation. And we want everyone to know that when you engage with UC Davis, you can trust us to do business in a way that has high integrity. We're honest. We make mistakes, certainly everybody does, and sometimes we miss the mark, but it's not because of some intentional desire to undermine or deceive or anything like that. We try to have the highest levels of integrity in all we do.
Growth. We are committed to sustainable growth that centers equity.
So that could mean many things. For many years, it was growing enrollment. We've kind of reached the end of that. Well, not the
40,000 students that's a lot of growth.
It's a lot. So growing influence, growing our presence, our visibility, our ability to be a resource for not only the constituents we serve, but also the broader community. And so when we talk about projects, we have research centers in various places like Tahoe and Bodega Bay, and now we're building up UC Davis Health and Aggie Square. Those are our opportunities to grow in our outreach.
I'll circle back now with community. Give me, I don't even want necessarily a Chancellor May definition. I want a Gary May definition of community. What is community? However you want to take it, what does community mean to you?
It's really just the people that I can touch and the people that touch me on an everyday or regular basis. And it can change and grow over time, or can shrink over time. But it's the people in my circle, in my network that impact me, and me, not just me, Gary, but me, whose ever community we're trying to define.
So when you say touch, you're not limiting. I don't want to put words in your mouth. You're not limiting that to I'm privileged to know you now, so I'm part of your community. But if someone were walking down the street, would you consider them community?
Well, it certainly includes the former, right? It certainly includes people that know me and I know them, but it also includes people who listen to me on a podcast, or people that read things that I write, or things that the university puts out. So the community is defined in the broader sense of the network of individuals who are affected by things that I might say and do.
So that's you now, Gary May, Chancellor May. How does community get teased out or lived out with respect to organization, where you, it can seem like it's something that's removed from me. It's an other thing. It's almost like, I don't know. It's alive. It's alive. But UC Davis, it's a community. It intersects cities and neighborhoods that are communities. How does it become something organic and more than, dare I say, transactional?
I think first it comes with a recognition that our community is not isolated from these other communities that either intersect with us physically or in other ways. And the desire to be a part of that broader network. Certainly the community of the university includes, the students, the faculty, the staff, the buildings that make up the university. But all of those entities have broader reach than that. We send our students out to go to work at different places when they graduate, and those places maybe become part of our extended family, extended community. Our staff and our faculty don't live on the campus; they live out in the city and in the broader community, and they have a certain. They represent us in those places, and then the things that we do, the activities that we're involved in, whether it's some research that we're doing in a certain area, or whether it's programmatic activity, some educational activity, some outreach activity. Those are ways that we extend our community more broadly.
Does community extend to, I want to go to Davis. I can't afford to go to Davis. Am I community?
We hope to make you part of the community
Okay.
and enable you to bridge that gap.
Okay, so there is
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Billy Goat Gruff. It's like there's this transactional relationship.
Right.
You wanna go across the bridge, pay the toll. Pay the toll.
Yeah. I get it. I think it's our responsibility, particularly as a public university, to be available to any student of any background, age, whatever, that qualifies, can meet certain milestones to be prepared to be educated at UC Davis. The transactional part, the resource part, the money should not be an obstacle. And we're not completely there yet. We're still working on that. But aspirationally, you want students to be able to benefit from the UC Davis education regardless of their financial means or any other impediment.
So I interpret what you said, that even if I'm not a student at UC Davis, I could be community.
Yeah, sure. Because you could be part of the broader network of entities that the university touches. You may not be directly benefiting from. You may not be going to class at UC Davis, but you may have opportunity to be on a free online class that we offer through continuing professional education, for example, or some other source. Or you may benefit from some of the research that we do. Maybe it's indirect and you don't even know it. We developed all the various varieties of strawberries that you eat. You don't know that you've benefited from our research, but you do.
Yeah, we shared last time, UC Davis, they could, additional work could be done to help promote all the good things that UC Davis does.
Absolutely.
Community. What does community? You've been to Oak Park. We're doing this. We're recording this podcast in Oak Park. I don't know how much time you've spent in Oak Park apart from UC Davis campus, Medical Center campus. You've been here 5 years.
Yeah.
Give me your impression of Oak Park.
A traditional community with some deep roots. Going back to things like the expo and other
Joyland
activities. Yeah. By the way, before I even set foot here on the campus, one of the first emails I got was from former Mayor Johnson introducing himself in this community. So I got a chance to get early exposure to. I think this is before he had a restaurant, and so an appreciation for his roots and his pride in this part of the city. Many of our, or I should say several of our faculty and our students either come from here or still actually live here. And I've gotten a chance to know some of them and get their perspective on Oak Park. And then I've learned from some of the elected officials and other people we interact with about some of their goals for the area. I think it has so much history, but also so much potential. So both in a retrospective and a prospective sense, it's a really exciting place.
So how does that look? Again, I'm always interested not in necessarily the dictionary definition of what that is, but how does that look lived out? The community of UC Davis intersects community that we call Oak Park. And oh, by the way, there's $1 billion development that is planned and is that train is quickly moving down the track.
It is.
How does community fit into this?
I think even before the new development, which we'll talk about, this community probably viewed UC Davis at best as some place where I go to the hospital, right? As opposed to some place where they feel some ownership of the place, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. But we've been trying to reach out in ways to build that community, to do job fairs, to do educational activities, workshops. Aggie Square is the next logical extension of that. It provides an opportunity for us to inject into this community, $5 billion annually of economic development. That takes many forms. And we had different choices of where we wanted to do that, right? We could have, in fact, we were being courted by other places to do that. But it was important to me to not only connect to where we already had a presence, but to have an opportunity to be a beneficial partner to some place where we already had allegiance and some connection. So,
I don't know. Again, I deal with my imagery. If you hang around me more than a minute, sometimes if the husband is trying to curry favor with the spouse, he buys flowers, a little candy, to go out to dinner. And for a lot of guys, it's a transactional endeavor. How do you keep that from not happening with the things that go on at UC Davis? Its community, it's just not a transaction. There are transactions that are a part of that,
sure.
As we shared last time.
Right.
It's like, hey, Gary, you need to come wash dishes.
Yeah.
There are responsibilities in a relationship,
right,
that come off as transactional, but if it's solely transactional, that gets old.
Yeah, I think it has to become part of the culture. It has to become instinctive. Where, for example, if there's an opportunity opening up with a new, keeping with the Aggie Square theme, if there's a new industry partner who's joining us and they're looking for a particular type of employees, our first instinct should be to reach out to our neighbors in Oak Park, and that's what we're trying to build here, where you see that what UC Davis does benefits me, and vice versa. I mean, we will benefit from the goodwill, the camaraderie, the workforce, the talent, the entrepreneurship, and other things that will happen because of the folks that live around us.
Mm-hmm. I remember one of my prior employers, the CEO, said, talking about corporate behavior, is we have to move past this is good business. It's just the right thing to do.
Right. My wife and I have been watching on Netflix, this new show about Boeing.
Haven't seen that one.
So Boeing, long, successful company for many years.
Sure.
A few years ago, made some decisions which led to some tragic accidents. And the change in culture that happened there was they went from thinking about engineering and safety and the product to more biased toward next quarter's earnings and profits.
Bottom line.
Yeah, and that's the result was catastrophic, right? I mean, the
lives were lost.
Lives were lost. and
Reputation sullied.
very much so. Yeah.
And even shareholders lost.
Shareholders not happy at all.
Yeah.
I know this is when it's close to home. My sister works at Boeing in St. Louis, so I know probably more than I should. but that's just an example of how the corporate culture, in our case, the university culture, indicates your intentions and how you want to be viewed, how you want to be, the impact that you want to have. And when you switch from a goal of improving your not only your own constituents, but your surroundings, to one of, we just need to generate more revenue, we need to have better rankings, we need to have more patents, all those sorts of things. Of course, we want to do those things, but if that becomes the central focus, then you kind of lose what we're talking about.
So we have, we have coming into community, Aggie Square.
Yeah.
It is, well, I won't say what it is. You'll tell me what it is.
Okay.
From a 30,000-foot level, elevator pitch, what is Aggie Square?
So Aggie Square, it's what we're trying to build is a live, learn, work, play community that enables us to take UC Davis intellectual property ideas from the laboratory to the marketplace more effectively, enables us to co-locate our folks with potential partners in industry, potential partners in various socially engaged organizations, community organizations, enables us to be a resource to the community in terms of hiring, in terms of educating and developing the local workforce, enables us to have a place where our students will be employed, enables us to have a positive economic development on the larger Sacramento community and region. I believe that's the responsibility of a public university. Mm-hmm. And in recent years, say pre-pandemic, people have begun to question the value of a university. And is it worth all this money I pay to send my son or daughter?
And the answer is?
For us, the answer is yes.
Okay.
But I think in many places, the question is still open. But you have to demonstrate that. You can't just say it, right? So people have to see it. And when you have a return on investment that's quantified by placement, job placement, and income and improved quality of life, those are the things people can see. Aggie Square is sort of the next level of evolution of that. So now you have a place where not only can I maybe get some education, I can also get a job or have an idea that gets commercialized and benefits me, my family, and the broader community. So, this is my belief, is this is the next phase in the evolution of the university, certainly of the public university.
Of what you were sharing, I hope it wasn't the only thing, and maybe I just missed it. If again, I'm picturing myself. I live across the street from Aggie Square. Mm-hmm. I don't, but I'm picturing myself in that way. And why would I be jumping up and down that this is coming to the neighborhood? You said employment opportunities.
Right. Well, we've already pledged, and we've codified this in an agreement with the community, that starting in the beginning of the development, 20% of all jobs that we generate at Aggie Square will be reserved for people that live in the 3 zip codes neighboring the
95817, 95820.
You know them better than I do.
Well, those are the two I know. I don't.
Okay.
Maybe Tahoe Park is the.
I think it is.
That is the third zip code.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, let's assume I live across the street, and I'm happy Aggie Square is coming because.
So not only are we pledging that that 20% will be available, that also what people don't realize is that some people view Aggie Square as this high-tech development, and it is that, but more than 30% of those jobs will be for people that don't even have a college education. And not only that, we're trying to provide more venues for people that want to go beyond that to get some, not only workforce development, but to be educated. So through our continuing professional education office, which will be in Aggie Square. People that may want to pivot to some new form of work, or may want to learn something about something new that's coming, will have that opportunity.
What is again, broadly speaking, what is the timeline for rollout for the square?
So we just broke ground symbolically a couple weeks ago with a ceremony. The actual construction will start in April. They'll be putting the fences up and the heavy equipment will come in. And the developer very optimistically says we'll be done by end of 2024.
Don't believe it.
I hope they're right.
Don't believe it.
So
again, I'm a civil engineer. Don't believe it. I don't even know who the developer is.
They're good partners with us, so I'm going to trust them. But we are flexible enough to be ready if that slips.
So
a little
2024, bit. That's the first phase.
Yeah. So this first phase, we have 25 acres of land total.
Okay.
This first phase covers about 8 of those acres, about 1.2 million square feet, 5 buildings.
And this first phase is what aspect of the square? Is it research? Is it a research building? Is it or
2 research buildings? What we call a research, science, technology, and engineering is what we're calling those 2 buildings. 1 lifelong learning tower, basically classrooms and offices, and also where our incubator will be located. The Alice Waters Institute, which is one of our first partners, Alice Waters, will be doing her Edible Education Institute in Aggie Square. And finally, a mixed-use housing development, which will hold, I think, 200 and some units.
But that's just for students?
It's for undergraduate and graduate students and professional students, but we'll also, and it's to be determined how this will play out, but we hope that some of the professionals that will be working in Aggie Square will want to have some of those units as well. So it'll be a pretty mixed, as I said, a mixed-use kind of development, and it won't be the last. It'll be the first one. We hope to build others.
But nothing. It's not generating additional housing for the public not associated with UC Davis.
No, it's not. But as a part of the agreement that I mentioned earlier, we have pledged to develop a $50 million affordable housing trust fund that'll be available to the community, which the city is going to manage for us.
City will manage UC Davis. Of the $50 million, UC Davis is pledging $50 million? Or?
So we're putting $5 million in off the top, and which we're raising from private sources, but the rest will be generated from the tax revenue that Aggie Square.
From Aggie Square?
Yeah.
Okay. Besides the groundbreaking that took place a couple of weeks ago, you said, what are the milestones that we should be aware of in this community for 2022?
Well, 2022, you probably just see, like I said, the fences going up and the heavy equipment starting to build do the construction, dig the foundation and start the framing. The only thing that happened, this already started happening, is our program, which we call Quarter at Aggie Square, which is an educational opportunity for our students, but it intersects with the community because the students are learning things like health equity. There's a transformative justice and education project, which is actually taught by 2 Oak Park, people that live in Oak Park, our professors that live in Oak Park, the Winds, Baisha and Tori Wynn.
Okay.
And there's biomedical engineering. There's some other things. There's a multilingual or bilingual education program as a part of Quarter at Aggie Square. There's about a half dozen different activities, and we hope that grows. I mentioned the Alice Waters Institute. That's a project that's being managed by our School of Education, and ultimately we expect that will reach out to enable free lunch or sustainably sourced food lunch for all K through 12 students in California at public schools. So that's the goal.
As always, I run out of time, and I've got more questions than time. But one of the things I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't ask: how can the community continue to intersect in we're here?
Yeah.
But now, going forward, how do you the transactional aspect of the enterprise have happened.
Yeah.
How do you have a relationship going forward?
We do have regular town hall meetings where we answer questions or raise awareness about programs that are going to be available. They're happening roughly on a quarterly schedule. The Aggie Square website has a listing of all these activities. We will continue to try to recruit and inform the community about these opportunities. We have a community engagement officer, so to speak, for Aggie Square.
Who is her or his name?
I know you were going to ask me that.
You supply it. There will be a little third banner. Drew Escobar is always good at that. He'll supply the name. He'll supply the name for us.
We will make sure you get the name and contact information. All of that's on the Aggie Square website, though.
Okay. And what I've been asked, obviously, the nature of this podcast, I'm asking questions. What would you, Chancellor May, want from Oak Park, if anything?
Really, at this point, I just want, and this is not, this is a bi-directional thing, but I want some pride and acceptance and connection to UC Davis and happiness that we're here as a partner and a resource for the community, and just some ongoing communication. Those are the things that are most important right now.
I can hear someone saying in my mind, it's like, I'll be happy when you give me a reason to be happy.
Well, I get it. I get it. We're all human beings. We all feel the same way. And I'm making a promise that there are going to be reasons to be happy.
I am, and I honestly, from my perspective, I have no doubt that you will bring everything you have to bear to make the relationship a genuine relationship. I am absolutely certain of that, fully cognizant that you're Chancellor, not God.
No,
there's a big difference. There's a huge difference.
A huge difference. I was saying earlier today that there's people that were asking me to do or suggesting that I do certain things, and I said if I could do all that, I would form the Justice League or do something. I'm not able to do all the things that people think that I should be able to do.
As I was sharing with one of our elected officials, I said, and I do. I pray for you. I pray for elected officials.
Thank you.
I said, every one of your constituents thinks that they can do your job better.
Yeah, we have those kind of jobs. That's true. That's
It
true.
just is.
Yeah, when I was as a practicing engineer, when you were working in engineering, nobody thought that, right?
Dumb professors and dumb supervisors, dumb pastors, It's just...
But in our jobs, people do think they know more, can do better.
Absolutely.
It's just part of the job.
Until you get in it, then you find out it's not what you thought it was.
It's challenging, yeah.
Chancellor, again, it's an absolute honor to be in your presence. Thank you so much for being with us. I want to invite you all again to continue to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Race, Culture, and the Church. Thank you so much. And again, thank you, Chancellor.
Thank you, Mark. Pleasure to be here.